You're a triple threat.
I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to this afternoon's agenda meeting as spring has sprung upon us after a week of inclement weather. So hopefully we get to enjoy this for a little bit longer before it turns to winter again. Today we'll review those action items that will be formally addressed next Tuesday, February 6th, right here at City Hall at 6 p.m. And we'll call upon our city manager, Mr. Bill Burrows, to review those action items. Bill?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. You will have a couple of guests at that meeting. Gary Troutman, President and CEO of the Greater Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce and the Hot Springs Metro Partnership, will deliver the Economic Development Report, as well as Director Garcia will have a guest, the National Girls in Sports Day, given to Maddie Bell Landry, captain of the Lakeside Volleyball team. Proclamation. Under your consent agenda, the first item is consider Resolution R-2414, a resolution extending the contract of obligation with the Arkansas Department of Energy and Environment, Division of Environmental Quality, DEQ, to provide financial assurance to enable permitting of the transfer station for 2024. This is really a contract of obligation. We do budget, I believe it's $60,500 in the budget for the transfer station. Should it ever close and the city's incapable of cleaning that up, they require a contract of obligation. These things really become more prevalent if you have a landfill. Transfer stations are certainly not as intense, but they do require the same type of contract of obligation. This was signed in 2020. This is an extension. It's the last year of the extension. Next year we'll be bringing you a new contract to sign with some updated figures, but be glad to answer any questions on that contract of obligation.
Any questions to Bill on this item?
Next item is consider Resolution R-2415, a resolution approving the purchase of a brine master, brine maker, and application equipment from C&H Outdoor LLC, doing business as Snow Biz pursuant to the cooperative purchasing program through Sourcewell. This is in the amount of $87,437.35, and our Public Works Director, Ron Seabright, will present the item. Ron?
Good afternoon. We're pretty excited. We're looking at some a little bit more efficient method of de-icing our roads. Using liquids is always more efficient, cost effective. With this purchase, we'll be getting a full brine making machine, a mixing tank, 3,000 gallon storage tanks, and we'll also have a 2,200 gallon distributor which will be mounting on a truck for application. And we also have a 500 gallon distributor that will go on a 1 ton, which will allow us to do parking lots and steps and things of that nature. Brine making is a lot more efficient, uses less salt, about 4:1. We mix it at a 23% mixture, and it works very well in these kinds of conditions in lower temperatures.
Any questions of Ron on this? Director Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. Ron, this is similar to what RDOT uses on their
And
state
also,
highway?
The city of Batesville also went to this type of system as well.
Okay, thank you.
Director Webb, did you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think you mentioned this, but do we have any machine of this kind currently, or would this be kind of the only purchase? Brand new process?
Yes, sir.
Have you witnessed where these other cities that do have this machine, that this is an effective machine?
I've been speaking with both RDOT and the city of Batesville, and the city of Batesville took 2 days of preparation with the brine method, and they didn't have to have any other labor after that. So we spent a full week doing ice and snow removal with the sand and the rock salt mixed, which is effective up to certain temperatures. But after that, if you apply it and it covers up, it's gone and you have to reapply.
The brine will actually activate when it falls, so we can pre-treat the roads like RDOT does now, and when that precipitation falls, then it activates the brine, and that begins that melting process, which we don't have that today.
So you're saying that this could actually be used in anticipation of some winter weather? We go ahead and get a jump start
Correct.
on providing that safety for the roads?
Correct. RDOT started on Saturday and started spraying into Sunday morning and sprayed all their roads.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? Director Dobbs-Smith?
Does it work at the airport?
It can. I don't know what the rules are on airports. I mean, when I was in the military and the Air Force, we couldn't use brine. We had to use isopropyl alcohol or another method, so
That's
think
why I
that would be
asked. I wasn't sure if that was legit for the airport.
I'm not sure. I think that would be a
Our airport
common
director is
question.
shaking his head
No.
that it's not allowed.
All right, any additional questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have consider resolution R 2416, a resolution approving blank to the position 2 of the Hot Springs Housing Authority Board of Commissioners, and our city clerk, Ms. Harmony Morrissey, will present.
Thank you. There's a special meeting scheduled after the conclusion of this agenda meeting. At that time, the board will interview applicants, and this resolution would be filled in according to the recommendation made.
Very good. Any questions of Harmony? Moving on.
Next, we have consider resolution R 2417, a resolution authorizing the filing and acceptance of the state airport aid grant, 80%, 20% application with the Arkansas Department of Commerce, Division of Aeronautics for a hangar construction project. And our airport director, Don Rowlett, will present.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. To your question, ma'am, the brine's not able to be used on the runway because of the salt content, which causes corrosion on aircraft. So, ladies and gentlemen, this grant that we're looking at today is to build a 80 by 80 hangar on the airport on the south side, the south ramp, and the associated ramp and taxiway access for it. This project will be funded by 2 state grants. This is the first of 2 requests for the project. This first phase for the project covers the cost of the site work, utilities, planning, and professional services for the project. The total cost for this phase is estimated to be $244,210. The airport gets grants from the state on an annual basis. So this is one of those that we are allocated for. The grant would be, for this part, would be 80-20 on the split, and the state has a cap of $300,000. With the state paying 80% of the cost, it's $195,368, leaving a local share of $48,842. This is for the application and the acceptance of that grant.
Any questions on this topic?
Mayor, if I may, the desire for this grant is to construct a hangar. This first portion is for the groundwork, if you will. That's the 80-20. The next one is the companion resolution to apply for an additional grant for the actual construction of the structure of the hangar.
Next, we have consider.
Director Garcia?
This is for clarification, for a new hangar
Yes.
Correct.
in construction. And do we have funds for any repairs needed to existing hangars?
We're looking at grants that are available for that, and that would be a separate thing since this is for construction of new.
New only, okay.
Yeah, it's a different grant category.
I understand, but we are trying to identify funds to help
Yes, ma'am.
with needed repairs on the existing. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything further?
As City Attorney Albright stated, the second companion resolution is R 2418, a resolution authorizing the filing and acceptance of a state airport aid grant. This one's 9010, application with the Arkansas Department of Commerce, Division of Aeronautics for a hangar construction project. And again, Don.
This resolution is for the construction of the hangar itself. The previous one was the groundwork, the planning, utilities. This is erecting the hangar. It's a 80 by 80 hangar. Have at least 3 aircraft in it. 2 of them would be the air bombers that we have for the fire service. The phase here covers that, and the total cost for this phase is estimated to be $590,000 for the hangar itself. The grant is a 90-10 split with a cap of $500,000 for the state. So they're 90%, they'll go up to $500,000. That results in the state paying that, and then the local would be 10%, our 10%. Plus the overrun that would be above their cap. The overrun above their cap is $31,000. Our 10% is $59,000 for a total of $90,000. This particular grant is time sensitive. The cap is at $500,000 right now. Normally it's $250,000. They've been running at $500,000 for a while. And so the funds are starting to come down on that with the state. I attended their Aeronautics Commission meeting last week, and they had authorized 4 similar hangar projects across the state. But the money is coming down that they have in that fund, so the $500,000 cap is short-lived. It could change at any time.
Any questions on this topic?
There will be a fund balance component with both of these. This was something that we did not budget in this year's particular budget, so there will be a budget adjustment accompanying this.
You'd indicated that it would hold 3 planes. Is there a significant wait list for hangar space?
We have gone through the wait list, Mr. Mayor, with some detail, and we started out, my new ops manager has been diligent on that for about the last 6 weeks since he's been there. We started out with almost 50 people on a hangar list. We're down to 19 after we purged the list and stuff. We also went through and we inventoried each of the aircraft, or the hangars and the aircraft. And at that point, we came up with 4 hangars that were empty that had not been identified before. And they are rented now. So we have 19 on that list.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Any additional questions?
I have a quick one.
Yes.
Did we get any potholes out there at the airport?
Not on the runway. You got a few.
That driveway going up there was pretty potty.
Got a few breaks in some of the parking lot that I had discussed with Public Works, and we'll get those patched. But no, we were lucky on that. We got plenty of water though.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Next, we have considered Resolution R-2419, a resolution authorizing the filing and acceptance of a 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program, local solicitation, and our Chief Police, Billy Harvington, will present.
The Hot Springs Police Department has been participating in this JAG grant for about 10 years now. The last several years, we have used it for site security improvements such as magnetic door locks and interior camera equipment, etc. We intend to finish the final leg of that this year with using the funds for security lighting, or exterior lighting, I should say. Our existing lighting has been there since the inception of the building, which is in 1996, I think, was when it was all installed. And we need to make some improvements. We need to fix some that are damaged and install some LED fixtures and things like that. We need to add some additional lighting to both ends of the building as well. So that's what we intend to use the funds for. We are requesting $19,232 on the grant. There's no match to the city. Just as a point of clarity, we have actually already applied for this grant. We didn't realize that one of the stipulations was that it had to come before you guys. Since it was well under the purview of the city manager, we didn't bring it then. Since then, I've talked to the grant administrator about it, and she just requested that we bring it to you guys now, so to take care of that point of order. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions of the chief? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hearing none, this will be your first item under your new business on that agenda. It's consider resolution R 2420, a resolution awarding a construction management at risk contract, also known as a CMAR, to Max Foot Construction Company LLC for the construction of the Gulf of Basin wet weather sewage pumping station. This is in the amount of $10,072,200, and our project manager, Todd Pillar, will discuss the item. Todd?
Thank you and good afternoon. This is package A. I use letters and numbers, so this is not going to be the first or last construction project that I bring before you. But Max Foot Construction of Mandeville, Louisiana, was the only one of 4 contractors that turned back to RFQ. And I found out that I have not worked personally with Max Foot Construction, but they've done three different projects. In fact, they built the intake at our current Washita water plant. I didn't know that, so I learned something. During negotiations, they were first estimate was about $11 million, and through value engineering, we got down to the $10,072,200 number. If you remember, we bid this project, hard bid it last July, and the 2 bids were $10.48 million and $10.27 million. And the construction will take about 18 months, and it should be completed by July 2025. And they also will be installing the 3 pumps that I've ordered, 500 horsepower pumps, and the 1.25 kilowatt, 1,250 kilowatt generator, and automatic transfer switch as part of their contract. And this will be coming out of the board-approved 2022 wastewater bond funds.
The board may recall that we that the board already approved a contract with Coakley Company for the 24 and the 30-inch force main lines. This is the pump station itself, the new pump station.
Correct.
Any Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. In our packet, can you include also who is providing the engineering and oversight of their work?
That's Chris Engineers. The plans are
Chris will be doing that, okay.
the plans are already done.
Okay,
Yeah,
and they
they're-
did the engineering and they're doing the oversight?
Yeah, remember we bid it back in July, so
Yeah.
they had a whole set of plans and specifications for contractors to bid, so they're just working off those plans.
Okay, well, I knew sometimes we have in the sewer work, we also have RJN, and I didn't know which ones was involved in this one.
This is Chris, and RJN does play a role on the on the interceptor, but this particular portion of it is Chris.
Okay, so
they-
they helped negotiate, when you say value engineering, they helped negotiate that price down.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
correct.
Really want to thank our city attorney. He did a lot of work on this one in a very short amount of time to get it for you today, and really we need to get this approved so we can meet our consent administrative order in 2025. So I saw the document. I think the first one that we looked at was over 70 pages that you had to go through, and you got it whittled down to just a few. So we really appreciate Brian's help on this particular item. It had to come quick, but thorough.
Thank you. I'll add this in the performance review.
I've got a good shredder.
Any questions?
Any further on Ron? Or Todd, I mean, excuse me.
I have a question.
Yes, Director Trustee.
Thank you, Mayor. Todd, this pumping station will be constructed beside the existing pump station there? On
Yes,
Catherine Road?
the city purchased extra land around the existing pump station.
Uh-huh.
Gary Carnahan did that like 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
And this is for the wet weather flow.
Okay.
So what City Manager Bill was talking about is Coakley's going to tie into the existing pump station that we have and run the 24-inch line to force main.
Right.
The 30-inch will attach to this pump station.
Okay.
They're hydraulically independent.
Has there been some dirt work done at this location? I
Oh,
was
yes.
by there the other night.
Exploratory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Just drive by Catherine Heights and you'll see it.
I did. That's where I was. And so I knew.
A 30-foot hole right there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but it will be next to the current pump station. There'll be
Thank
two
you.
of them.
Yes.
Any additional questions? Hearing none? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item will be your first ordinance of the evening. It's ordinance 2407, an ordinance amending the zoning map to C4 Regional Commercial Open Display Zone District for 1.064 acres, generally located at 163 and 165 Weston Road, amending the future land use plan map to linear commercial corridor and for other purposes. And our Planning and Development Director, Ms. Kathy Selman, will present the item. Kathy.
Thank you. Good afternoon. The applicant and property owner is Lloyd Robertson, and he has two split-zoned lots at approximately 163 and 165 Weston Road. And he is seeking to change the zoning to C4. Part of the, well, there are two parcels here. One of them is entirely R2 and the other is partly R2 and partly C4. This zoning was established prior to the construction of the Martin Luther King Jr. Expressway. One of the lots, the front lot, 165 Weston, has a non-conforming commercial auto body shop, and the other is vacant. The requested C4 zone district would eliminate the non-conforming status of the existing auto body shop, and the request is compatible with surrounding uses and zoning. Planning Commission found that the zone change request demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning as required by Hot Springs Code Section 16-11E. They also found that expressway construction represents a significant physical change to the area. And if the change to C4 is approved, the full range of C4 uses would be possible. Planning Commission, at their duly advertised public hearing on January 11th, voted 9-0 after calling for testimony and considering the record to accept staff report findings and to recommend to the board approval of an ordinance assigning C4 Regional Commercial Open Display Zone District and a future land use plan map amendment to linear commercial corridor for the subject property, because the requirements of Hot Springs Code are met.
Any questions of Ms. Selman? Director Garcia?
Is have we heard anything on this property before?
No, we have had a request on nearby property
Okay.
for this same zoning.
Okay, but this is already joining all of the, okay.
It is.
And those maps will be in our packet.
Absolutely, yep.
Thank you.
Well, this property is on the Elbert Pike side of Weston Road, right?
Yes, yes it is.
And the body shop, is that right next to the power station distributor?
As I recall, yes.
Just north of it.
Right, correct. Okay, that's come before us in the past, I think, on a zoning issue.
We may be talking about a different auto body shop. There was one owned by Mr. Myrick
Correct.
that we have heard before. This is on the other side of,
Oh, it's not that building.
no, it is not that building.
Okay.
Yeah,
That one was zone CTR, wasn't it?
I do not recall.
It was
I
small.
think this is that little section right there on Albert Pike. There's a little house and
Here.
a
Yeah,
Yes.
and a body shop.
but aren't
next
there
to it.
like 4 storage buildings now, right there? that were constructed?
There are, and I can't see the picture from here, there are structures there, but there is no active business on anything other than the auto body shop.
Okay.
So is the red dot the,
Yes.
what you're
Yes.
requesting?
It's pretty close to the church, I think.
It's right across.
Yeah, there's a little access road. You turn on Weston and make a hard left right away, or I guess you can go around and come in a back way. Okay. Any further questions? Thank
Thank you.
you.
Your next item is also an ordinance, ordinance 02408, an ordinance approving the filing of a private club permit application by Caitlin McMurray on behalf of the Reserve at Hot Springs Incorporated, located at 2330 Central Avenue, Hot Springs, Arkansas. And again, our city clerk will present this item. Harmony?
Thank you. The Reserve has been operating under a bed and breakfast private club permit that they obtained in 2021. They now desire to permit the entire property as a private club to use for an event center for weddings, social events with food service and music. Applicants for private club permits must obtain approval from the governing body of the city where they are to be located. This approval must come in the form of an ordinance, which is then attached to their application that goes to Arkansas Alcohol Beverage Control. So that application will be included in your packet. There are certain requirements that include private clubs must be in the name of a nonprofit corporation through the state of Arkansas. They must have been in existence for at least 1 year. They must have at least 100 members, and it must exist for a reason other than solely the consumption of alcohol. It should be noted, too, that the Reserve did obtain a conditional use permit to operate the bed and breakfast, so they are not required to obtain an additional conditional use permit. That would allow them to operate this as a larger event center. However, they do remain subject to the terms and conditions enumerated in that conditional use permit. They did apply for, or they did submit their application to the city clerk's office on January 9th. Staff review indicates that they do have all the requisite documentation attached to the application, and that will be included in your board packet. Happy to
Any
answer.
questions? Again, this is just for, we're in the agenda meeting, not on the regular meeting, but Director Garcia?
Do those attachments include the nonprofit status?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
I'll wait till the board meeting for my questions.
This may be more of a question for the chief. I know that we had a neighbor in that general area make comment about noise. Did we get any further review on that? And again, I guess this could have waited till next week, but just from a prep standpoint.
So we looked at all of our noise calls that we had in that area, and we only found 2 that were for sure related to this property. And then there was another one that was questionable that it could or maybe not have been related to the property. That was in like a year time span. I also met with that gentleman that was here at the meeting and expressed that to him and told him if there was any more problems to call us, but we didn't have we didn't have a lot of history there in regard to those types of complaints. So I think we were led to believe that we had a lot of calls and there was an ongoing issue, but I didn't find that when I did the research on it.
Okay. Director Beard?
Yes, he may not have called you, but he definitely called me. So I'll bring you the information that I've had, because they actually had a noise complaint from my own house, and when I called the police, I just can't remember any action. Like they did say they came, but when they came, there wasn't any noise. So, then they call me again. So I think that was something similar, but I don't want to go from memory what happened like 2-3 years ago during COVID, but I will bring all the information, because my question is, with the private club permit, what does that do different for noise complaints? Like, are they allowed to make noise even though they're residential?
It doesn't change the regulations of the noise ordinance, nor does it change the conditions of their conditional use permit, which prohibits them from becoming a nuisance, if I recall the language in the permit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'll
Did-
read up on it and,
Are they
Oh,
gonna
my questions.
I'm sorry, you have further questions?
no, that's all really.
Are they gonna discontinue the bed and breakfast, the overnight accommodation component?
I can't speak to that, but I do know that they're planning on sending a representative to be here at the meeting on the 6th.
Yeah, and then I know when people ask to be rezoned, they're not required to tell us what they're doing. Is that correct? I mean, what their business plan is, they can just say, hey, I want to go from this zone to this zone?
Depends on the zoning. If it's a PD, for example, they have to
They
tell you.
do, yeah.
But this isn't zoning.
This is permit.
Oh, this is
Well,
just their
well,
permit.
but they go back to the original change. If you would have come in and said, we want to have a private club here, might have been acted upon differently than a bed and breakfast, which you would consider to be a more quiet activity.
Right.
And then you have outdoor venue for events with music, and to the degree that there's music or noise leaving the boundaries of the property. So everything gets looked at a little differently. Just, we can discuss next week.
Will the packet include the definition of a private club permit? It'll include all that. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
And for the board's benefit, the city clerk's office did try to include a link in your packet for the rules and regulations that ABC has for this type of thing, which was available to us last week. Today, it's not available. So having the link there will not assist you in finding it because the state has taken it down. So.
I'll be working on it.
Wow.
All right. So any further questions? All right.
Mayor,
Thank you.
I will encourage the board members, if you have constituents that call and they have those kind of issues, noise complaints, whatever it is, I think it's great they're calling you, but that doesn't get it on the record. Ask them to at least forward that and make the complaint to the police department so we can track it and go back and look at that. And it may help us at some point be able to show that it is a nuisance property. So we want to make sure that we get those on the record.
I would ask that they please call while it's ongoing as well, so we can address it.
Your next item, your final item for the evening, is consider ordinance O-2409, an ordinance granting a franchise agreement for the operations of a specialty transit service to Ramsey H. Zimmerman, doing business as Hot Springs Horse Memories. And again, Ms. Morrissey.
Thank you. The Hot Springs Transportation Code authorizes the board to grant a franchise for specialty transit services if they are considered fair, reasonable, and in the public interest as determined by the board of directors. According to the code, the franchise agreement must clearly state the duration, terms, franchise fee, rates, insurance, conditions, and procedures for granting and operating such franchise. Mr. Ramsey Zimmerman has applied for a specialty transportation permit to operate a horse-drawn carriage business in Hot Springs. In his application, he states that he is a jockey and has a horse-drawn carriage business in Iowa. Documents attached to his application include photos of his horses, carriages, and business operations in Iowa. He also included some past judgments from the state of Florida. Also attached in your meeting packet will be some incident reports as well as an arrest report issued by Hot Springs Police Department. A draft agreement has been prepared and will be included in your packet. This draft agreement would be in effect for 2024 only and includes licensing of a single carriage, hours of operation from noon until midnight, up to 7 days a week. It sets the fares to be charged at $45 for the first 2 passengers, 10 for the next additional adult passenger, which is over the age of 15, $5 for each additional youth passenger, that's between the ages of 3 and 14, and no charge for passengers 2 and under. He would be allowed to accept gratuities. Exhibit A of the agreement is a map that would be the route that would be approved. I'm going to go ahead and show that to you, but it is included in your packet. You would be limited to the areas in purple. If approved, the agreement would go into effect on March 1st, which would give the city staff time to address an additional equine stand area or areas, as well as any other foreseeable issues of having 2 permitted carriage companies in the city. This would also allow for the current agreement with Circle Double D to be amended to ensure that both carriage companies would be operating under the exact same terms. Please know that Mr. Zimmerman has indicated that he is planning to attend the meeting on February 6th to address the board and make himself available for any questions.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. Is this the same gentleman that was here with us about a month or so ago and then chose to take this item off of new business? Okay. Thank you.
For purposes of this agreement, typically, when someone gets a permit, they ask for more than one license. This will just be for one license, since it's not a full year. If things work out well, then you can reconsider other licenses under this permit.
Director Garcia?
Will the packet include copies of current driver's license?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Mayor, that
Thank you.
completes the items for your agenda for next Tuesday night.
Looks like we may be here for a while on a couple items, so, okay, this concludes the agenda meeting. We do have a special call meeting of the board to review applicants for the Housing Authority Board opening, so we'll take just a short recess, so to speak, to change over and to get our packets